Welcome. This is the Aussie DeFi Happy Hour with 43 OG and
Doza,
aka Par Excellence. Now,
here you go, man.
Yeah, good, mate. Good. Finally, we're on the stream, just you and me. But we have a special guest because you can't start a new happy hour show.
Oh,
you cannot start a new happy hour show without
not
having the
homage to CABANA?
the OG of happy hour shows right here, Mr.
No
CABANA
way,
Crypto.
CABANA.
What's going on,
My
brother?
man, how you going?
Muted. You're muted, mate. You're muted.
I said, good evening, happy hour to you.
G'day, g'day. How you going, mate?
I'm going to have a root beer. It's a little late here, but
understand.
A beer. So I had to say I have a beer on the Aussie DeFi Happy Hour show. How y'all doing?
Very good, mate. Very good.
Very well, thanks, mate.
Thanks for coming on, man, because I know that it's like horrific hours of the night for you. And the fact that you've come on at a time that's, for us, it's happy hour time. It's that time on a Friday afternoon. But for you, it's some ungodly hour.
Yeah, well, it's like the first time I've ever gotten to do 2 happy hour shows in one day. So I guess technically it's after midnight here. So Big K and I will do one later today. And yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. And thanks for the invite. It's a pretty cool concept.
Legend.
So we need happy hours across the world. You know what I mean? So
yeah, that's it. That's it. There should be a continuous flow of happy hour streams across the globe.
Exactly. Well, we need it right now too, right? So
we do, as is evidenced by your background there.
Yes. I don't know what you're talking about. Everything's fine.
This is fine. Yeah.
This is fine.
Oh man. So
yeah, I fully endorse that. I reckon the whole it's 5 o'clock somewhere, and you can't have too many happy hours, right? So everyone loves a happy hour, especially after work drinks on a Friday. Why not?
And people in Europe, Australia, they all love a good pint, right? So that's just
exactly
pints around the globe, no matter what time. So
we have pots in Melbourne.
Yeah, that's weird. We have pints over here, but
you have pints.
In Eastern States,
you can get a pint here, but which is half a liter of beer, which is what is that in gallons? That's an eighth of a gallon, right? Roughly, it's an eighth of a gallon. I think.
I guess
half a liter. There's 4 liters per gallon, isn't there?
Yeah.
This reminds me.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, this reminds me of when I was going to uni, and then after uni on a Friday afternoon, we'd go down to our local pub, which is actually now not a pub anymore because it's been turned into apartments, but which is sad in itself. But we used to go down there, a group of us, about 4 or 5 guys, and happy hour used to go for 2 hours. And
nice.
Within those 2 hours, you could purchase beer for $1 a pot. So we would just go there and drink way more than we should have.
Oh yeah.
And then when it hit, it used to be from 5 o'clock till 7 o'clock. And then just before 7 o'clock at like 6:50, like everyone would go to the bar and just just put a tenner down and just get 10 pots of beer and just line it up on the ledge. And, I pretty much don't there's a period of my life where I don't remember what happened after 7 o'clock on Friday afternoons. Thanks to that. That was a long time ago.
Oh, look, we had a similar thing. We had a tavern at our uni, and I used to get a jug of beer at lunchtime. And then I'd go back into maths lectures and just be going, oh, that was a bad idea. But luckily on Friday Arvos, there was these chemistry pracs where you had to do a whole bunch of chemistry stuff. And I just raced through it so fast. And it was like, done, see you later. And then I'd just go, because it was like a 4-hour bloody prac or something stupid. And I'd just finish it in an hour and then go to the tavern. But yeah, because I wasn't a huge fan of chemistry. So
Can I just confirm, Dozza, that you are like, you're like, I want to say you're a rocket scientist or something.
well, not about that. I'm a physicist.
You're a physicist.
I've got a degree in pure maths and physics, and I work in a electromagnetic compliance laboratory. So I have tested satellites and all sorts of weird electronics and stuff, but yeah, mainly just electronics.
That's cool, man. That's cool.
I guess I got a cheap beer memory as well. So at my local bar back in college, perhaps I was over the age of 21 or not, getting into this place. They would have this thing. Of course, you have like ladies' night on Thursday night. The big nights are Friday and Saturday. But to entice people to the bar, and especially because the crowd was my age, 20 and 21 because I was legal, and low 20s and maybe mid 20s as well. They would entice you with quarter draft night, and quarter draft night was pretty much these plastic cups of beer. I mean, not 12 ounces, maybe like 10 or something like that. And it was the nastiest, just basic draft beer. I don't know where they got it. It was absolutely disgusting. It was just
The
like
the dregs of the barrel.
Oh,
right, exactly. But you have a bunch of college kids in there living on a budget, so you just get trays of this stuff, and they were still, they probably just broke even on it, but all the money for drinks or shots flying around and stuff like that, and all the other stuff that was going on in there, I'm sure they more than made their share. But you would wake up with the nastiest hangovers after that. I mean, of course, here in the States, we go to school like Monday through Thursday, usually like a full college course schedule. Now I would wake up many a Thursday morning, just head pounding and just like, ugh. So fortunately, we have better hangover cures today, or remedies, than we did back then. So
I would like to say that I still drink. It's not like I don't drink, but I just hardly ever do.
It's hard with kids, and they're waking you up early the next morning and all that stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just also I don't know. Like hangovers started hitting me hard, maybe in my late 20s, early 30s. Like they just started hitting me really, really hard, and I just got to the point where it's like I don't want to feel like this ever again. You know that
you tapped out and just like, no, I'm tired of feeling bad. Like it's way better just to like not go overboard, enjoy myself. It's just better to play safe. And
yeah, it's like you can drink, and now I have a rule where if I'm drinking, and it's very rare that I do, I will always have a drink, and then I will and it's like I don't drink liquor or anything like that, but if I'm having a beer, I'll have a beer, and then I will drink the equivalent amount of water as my next drink, and I just do that and just keep hydrated, and that helps a lot. And I usually doing that, it's like after like 2 or 3 beers, it's like that's enough,
Yeah, because you're full. And I think actually Richard, has mentioned that before. And it works great if you employ the strategy. Like if you sit at a bar and you are of mind to be like, okay, I just finished a beer, let's grab some water. I've tried it a couple times, and it kind of, slows down your consumption in evening a bit. I wouldn't recommend it if you're going out, with the boys and saying hi to girls everywhere and be like, hold on, excuse me, I gotta get my water between my beer. Be right back. That's bad luck. But
I just smash a Gatorade before bed. That's the key for me.
Yeah. Have you ever had liquid IV? They're like
No, I've seen like people do that, and I'm like, that's next level.
That's next.
Do it.
That's next.
My wife is a doctor, so she's got to up her game. So Class has got to.
Those types of hydration drinks
bring home
have saved my life. Yeah. So
I think the next bull run, I need to get into this IV deal. I've heard Dave Chappelle and Joe Rogan talk about it, and I'm like, I want some of that stuff. Want
Oh, you're
somebody-
talking like the direct IV, like these Hollywood types. They'll actually get
Yeah.
an IV like put in their arm. I'm just talking
It's like a
liquid
Oh,
IV.
right.
It's like it comes in like
right,
a little
right.
pouch, and you just take a full bottle of water, dump the thing in, shake it up, and if
Yeah.
if one doesn't help you, you've had a banger of a night. So they almost always make my head a little clearer and less
Do we
banging.
do we have them in Australia? These liquid IV things. Does it? Have you heard of them here?
I haven't, no, but I'm keen to find out.
Yeah.
Yeah, as I say, just Google it and see if you have. See if I would guess
Maybe
they
there's-
ship there. I mean, they're pretty big
Google it.
now. It used to be like years ago. Not a lot of people heard of them, but they're pretty popular now.
So, guys, I want to know
we-
what do we? Oh, sorry, Dozzy, you go.
I was just going to say, we've got a few legends in the chat as well. We've got Mango Junkie and Finbear and Intrepid Shape. G'day. Oh, put if you're having a drink, if you're having a beer or whatever, put it what it is in the chat. So maybe Finbear's having a Heineken or something. But here we go.
Zero sugar root beer because keto.
Ah, yeah, that's good.
Sticking to it. There we go.
Black coffee.
I'll be having that in a few hours.
I might need another coffee after this. Yeah,
So, guys,
yeah. Our Hex Enthusiast has got a good point here. We need Class to line us up with the IVs at the meetup. So the Sydney meetup is in October, I think 13th, 14th, 15th. But yeah, the booze cruise is the one I'm worried about because I get seasick, but the only thing that stops me from getting seasick is by drinking. So yeah, as long as I have a few drinks, I should be fine. Or it could end terribly.
Yeah, I don't do like that well. I went on a Hexagon fishing trip about a year ago, actually, this month. So I was out there with like Rags to Riches, Freddie Quotes, and other Hexagons who aren't really public, but it was like a 3-day kind of thing. And I have never been in worse water. And of course, it takes like 2 hours to get out to where we're going in the Atlantic Ocean.
Wow.
And everybody, as soon as we take off and clear, and the pretty coast at like 4 a.m. disappears. It was like, okay, well, you have like guys like me and Rags who would find the nearest couch to sleep on, and maybe one of the mates or whatever because they're busy all day, and then everybody else is out still, just having beers at like 4 a.m. Watching the water go by. But I mean, I think Rags was like in the Navy, and it was so like choppy out there. Like even he had to like lay down and just be like, "Whoa, this is pretty wild." Yeah. So I would recommend. What got me through it was if you have Dramamine, like take one the night before and then like one the morning of, and that worked really well. I'd never really had much success with it, but it kept me all right. So
awesome.
What was that? Dramamine? Is that what you said?
Dramamine.
Okay.
Yeah. DRAMMI or MAMINE. Something like that. But yeah, you can get that here in the States, like in a drugstore. It's like a small little pill bottle like that, and just as long as you remember to take it, it worked for me. And
I'll give it
as a kid, the whole choppy thing did not work for me. So I've been on a boat lots more nowadays, though, so maybe that also has something to do with it.
Did you catch any fish?
Yeah, it was a trophy fish tournament. So we were going for like white marlin, blue marlin, but we got a bunch of tuna, which is really cool, and they're always a good fight. So we slung some of those over, but didn't get the money fish. So. But there were only like hundreds of boats like going for the money fish, and there was only like 1 or 2 money fish caught that actually qualified. So they're pretty tough to get, like those white marlins, especially because you need to have them like a certain length, certain weight, and stuff like that. So they have to qualify.
Oh, Doz has disappeared. Hang on, let me just bring him back.
That's cool. I started lagging hard. I think it's because I'm on the other side of the country.
So
CABANA
guys,
wins the prize. Way.
I was going to ask, how are you guys going? How are you going? I mean, prices are very, very low. Like,
There's a price.
Prices of
Only if you check
Oh
it.
yeah, I guess I see it. Yeah, it's there at the bottom. I had to like scroll up on my chart. Yes, there's still a price. Yeah,
it's still, hopefully.
Not
On the
too
flip
bad.
side, on the flip side of that, like, it's for people who haven't got like themselves a staking ladder in Hex, for example, or they haven't like got themselves a nice bag in Hex. It's great prices, like great prices to get, like, historically speaking, it hasn't been like this since 2020.
Yeah. I mean, I just think of it in terms of PLS or Hex. I just want to have like Intrepid Shapes here acquire more units. So it's like you're just getting more beats, more hearts, and you're just stacking that. So just try not to think about the price. I know that's a little bit of cope, but I kind of have targets where I just think, I want to get to the next level, and then once you get that level, it's really kind of like encouraging to think, oh well, I can almost get to the next order of magnitude higher. So you sort of keep pushing. I think that'll kind of work out, because as the price is going down and you DCA like that, you're lowering your average buy. So even if that's the sort of joke that like it might do the 10,000x, but it might go back to the sack price.
Right.
Like if it goes down low enough. But then the people who didn't DCA will be like, I broke even, and then there'll be people who literally bought that bottom and will be able to get. I mean, so like that's a joke, but I guess like even if it did a 20x above the sack price, if you're DCAing at some of the real lows, then you might see a 50x, or that's how you might get your 100x or whatever.
Yeah, I thought like a 10x would have been great just because of the sheer size of these sacrifices, and the valuation that was put into them. So I'd be totally cool. Well, now of course, just to get back above sacrifice would be awesome. But I was like considering something. Yeah, I was considering something the other day. It's like, everybody or a lot of people, I guess, focus on the dollar value that they sacrifice, especially if say you sacrificed Hex, which most people did at the time. You sacrificed for PulseChain, PulseX, and a lot of people focus on the USD value of that. But maybe it would be beneficial for some people to look at it in terms of, especially those who sacrificed Hex, in Hex units, because what would you have done, if that Hex was staked out for like 5 years? You'd still have it, and the price would be way down, but you got 2 coins, PulseChain, PulseX, that comparison to that Hex value that was sacrificed, and that would be staked, because most Hex can stake their Hex. It would be way more valuable, and perhaps that's why we're seeing such negative price action in PulseX and Pulse, because some are looking to it like that in terms of like Hex units. And of course the whole SEC thing knocked everybody for a loop, and it's just like a free for all, and has been. And I would argue we're gonna have to just wait until there is some sort of resolution, hopefully sooner or later. And I would I've said this before, Hexkins who want price to go up want a settlement before the end of the year. I'd say before Thanksgiving. And that's possible. Bitrex did it. Only took them 4 months, less than 4 months. Thanksgiving would be a little less than 4 months. Just throwing that out there. If there's a settlement, now if there's no settlement and we go past, I guess, like the end of November, that would be a sign that we're getting into a protracted state of things. And I think the frustration will grow even more than it is now, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, there's things you can do, like because the liquidity's quite low as well, like across the whole board, So some of these cells, I think particularly because people maybe overextended, and I'd put myself in that category as well, where, we were just so, bullish and so pumped that PulseChain had launched that we're just like, and I had, sacrificed for PLS, but I was like, I really wanted to increase my PLS size. So a lot of people kind of aped in because they thought they, just FOMO'd in effectively. And then, as the price has gone down, maybe a little bit overextended, then people are actually having to sell and wear that loss. But the way I found to kind of cope with it a little bit is that if I see like a local high or something like that, and I am forced to sell, I'll actually provide liquidity on PLSX between the DAI PLS pair. So if I need to take out something for whatever, pay the mortgages or whatever, and for some reason, but then I'm buying back in. If I think the price is going down, you're just buying back in as the price goes down because you've got that, the DAI PLS pair, and you're earning ink that whole time. So you can earn quite a lot of ink. I mean, ink's not worth anything now, but it's still early days. So you can sort of stack like a decent ink bag as well while you're buying the dip as the price goes down. And that kind of makes you feel better about the price going down because you're like, at least, they're kind of like a limit order.
Kind of getting a cut, side cut.
Yeah.
It
goes down and you're like, oh, cool. Well, my stack of DAI is sort of buying this dip automatically.
Yep. Yeah, I wouldn't really encourage anybody to sell here unless you have to, like, Dazzy, you were kind of saying, it's just take care of some things and what you need to, but this is the, if you're long-term positive, I mean, I think it's, you can't get much worse than what we've seen here over the past month or so, 3 weeks, I guess, 4 weeks. So
feels like longer than that. It feels like way longer.
I remember I was like sending some Pulse, I think, to different wallets and whatnot that morning, and I'm looking at the PLS, and of course it's like very small amount of PLS it takes to send the native PLS token, and it was like thousands of Pulse to send Pulse, and I was like, what is going on? Like, there's got to be a something is off here, like I'm just getting a bad quote or something. And then I was like, I'll just try back later. I was like, this is crazy, like this 4 figures of Pulse just to send Pulse, and like come back, it's even higher, and I'm like, what is going on? So of course I get in like Telegram, and the notice is posted, and it's just like, okay, here we go. So then it was just like, if you wanted to transact, then I mean the rates to do it, it was like a minting an NFT, somebody doing a major mint of NFTs on ETH. The prices were just through the roof, and it was really tough to transact because so many people were dumping and then rebuying, and it was a crazy morning here. That's for sure. Hectic. Just to watch. I mean, the price action, like you pull up Deck Screener and it'd be like down 50%, up 20%. This hour is just like wild.
Yeah. I mean, that's one thing I was kind of wondering about. Like, I know we've got a lot of, there's bots and things like that on the chain that might be cranking the gas up. But if like when Pulse was sort of at 0002 or whatever, and it was costing nearly $1 to do a swap or something like that, and depending on whether you're using like a DEX aggregator, because then it will route it through so many different pools, you're paying a lot more in gas. Then you kind of wonder, like, if you did 100x, how would you be paying $100 for the gas to do one of these swaps? Like, so because then you'd just be the same as being on Ethereum. So, or whatever, $10 a swap, or I think it may have worked out to be. So, yeah, there is, I guess, a limit on, how many X's I think it can do because of that sort of that ceiling of the gas to transact.
That's really going to limit people once you get into those higher gas fees. I mean, like we've seen it on Ethereum. the only people that can afford to transact on Ethereum when things are going crazy are people who have like plenty of Ethereum. Like it's a calculation that they're doing. Like, for example, if you're ending a hex stake on Ethereum in the bull market, that might cost you. I mean, the last bull market, there were people paying $600, $700 to end a stake.
Oh yeah.
And that's only 2 years in. So bear in mind, next bull run, if it happens, that's where we're at mentally right now. If it happens, when it happens, when it happens, when it happens. Yeah.
Got to stay positive. Yeah.
Got to stay positive. That's right. For hex stakes on Ethereum, for those early ones, and you're talking 5-6 years in, the gas. I mean, assuming that Ethereum goes even higher than the last bull market, which you would expect it to, be going higher, it's going to be ridiculous. It's going to be ridiculous gas fees to end stakes at the height of the bull run.
Yeah, Ethereum gas is going to be out of control. Yeah, I mean, unless they sort out this sharding thing, I guess, or whatever they have to do.
Yeah. But who
Not
knows?
holding my breath on that. But
yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. All you can count on with Vitalik is that he's going to dump on your head. So that's all you can really be sure of. Have you guys seen? One thing I was going to say is how funny was Tangent's Green Dilly's stream last night? You saw that?
It was very I saw that. It was very short. It was was just a disclaimer stream. So I'm not sure if you're up to speed with this, CABANA.
I am not.
Tangent used to have his own channel on YouTube.
Oh, I knew that. Okay.
And then it got banned because he's like does not filter what he says. So I think it just caught up with him. So this is the first time he's streamed solo on a channel for like, I don't know how long it's been, at least a year, maybe longer.
Right.
And he used to have like a really dedicated bunch of hexicans, pulsicans, whoever, who used to follow him, and just because he's very interactive with the chat, like when he's doing his solo streams. And it's a lot of fun. I love being in his chat when he's doing them. But he just started doing them again, and he did a stream as a disclaimer. And it was very he wrote, I think he must have written a script, because I think he was just reading the script of what he wanted to say. It's just so
funny to see the look on his face as he's doing this disclaimer. And because he came up with this Dilly Dow, which was like, the green Dilly's Dow. So the amount of times he said Dillies, I was like, that is a good drinking game. If you just drink every time he says Dillies. Oh, it was hilarious. It's like 2 a.m. I was just like giggling to myself, like, oh, this is so funny.
I was watching it at 4 a.m.
I couldn't believe that you were up. I was like, bro, you're going to be wrecked.
Because do you know what happened? Oh, you would have seen what happened is he couldn't get into the stream, into Restream. For some reason, something happened. And then I woke up in the middle of the night and I did that mistake that, I'm sure everyone makes it, but I make that mistake where I look at my phone sometimes and then there's like things that need to be addressed. And he couldn't get into the Restream. I'm like, if I don't go and sort this out for him now, he's not going to be able to stream. So I went and like sorted that out. And by the time I did all of that, I was like wide awake. Like my eyes were like this. And it's like, I might as well watch the stream now. Might as well watch it. So
I'm not quite sure what that Dilly Dow thing is about, but it was funny to hear him say Dillies that many times.
Yeah. Do you want to know what it's about? It's basically,
I'll find out eventually. Yeah.
Well, I mean, for anyone who's interested, Tangent's doing a stream that's going to be dedicated to looking at the charts of PRC20s, like people who are launching new PRC20s on PulseChain. So it's going to be, obviously not just Hex or Pulse content or PulseX content. He's sort of going outside of that, and he's noticed that no one else is doing that, so he's going to go in and do it. And awesome. The way people are going to be able to get their token reviewed by the DAO is by sending some of that token to an address that is owned by the Dilly Dow, yet whoever is the owner, no one knows who the owner is. It's definitely not this channel. I can tell you that right now. It's definitely not us. I can tell you right now, I have nothing to do with any of it.
The green Dilly OA.
I don't know what it is, but it's not a matter of like anyone. If anyone gets their token reviewed, they're not going to get anything out of it. Like there's nothing that you're going to get out of it.
It's just to get his insights on the structure of the charts on that coin. So he's not endorsing that coin or whatever. He's just looking at the charts effectively.
That's it. That's right. And it's just a way of getting nominated as someone as a PRC20 to get reviewed.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So that's
awesome. Yeah, because like, you know, this is the thing is we all sort of like I'm a little bit conscious of the fact of what I post on Twitter because I don't want to like lose my RH follow and that sort of stuff. But like, it's kind of like at some point you're just thinking, well, I'm actually interested in some of these other things. And, you know, like say, for example, the Proteus DEX aggregator, you know, when you're doing a swap and you bring up Proteus and you go, oh shit, I'm getting more coins if I route through some Fux pools or whatever, then like of course you're going to take that. And like I was playing around with the Fux LP and staking the LP to get the VFux and all this sort of stuff. And but the problem that I found is that the liquidity is so low on these like Hedron, like E Hedron, P Hedron, E ICOSA, P ICOSA, that you're just getting mad slippage just on small buys. So I don't know if it's because everyone's staking their ICOSA and Hedron and no one's providing LP, but even like on PulseX, there's hardly any liquidity, but even on the Fux pools, the liquidity is low for all the Alex coins. So I was kind of
like the main
keen to do that, but
the main Hedron one is pretty good, but there are some other ones. There are some like just E Hedron, E ICOSA Maxi like pools or whatever, and the dollar value is like way lower than some of those top ones. But I think like that main Alex Maxi pool is like top 10 maybe in terms of dollar value. So I'll look that up. Actually.
Yeah, that's the one I'm in, that Alex Maxi pool. So yeah, because and then I think you stake your LP tokens to get this VFux thing, and you get like a multiplier. And then I think 60% of the LP fees go to the LP providers, but the 40% goes to the people that stake their Fux tokens. So it's interesting because, like, I guess the VFux is sort of like ink on PulseX.
Okay.
But it's like a governance token as well. You can choose how you want to, assign the yield. But yeah, it's interesting.
It up and for however long, I think you can do a short or long period up to a year. Yeah. So yeah, that Alex one's got, I guess, over 500,000 in pool value to it.
Yeah, but so the problem is
that like versus the bridge stable, which is like over 8 million.
Yeah. Well, that's another interesting thing. But I guess that predominantly because they're weighted pools, I think a lot of that is probably in the P Hedron, because that seems to be the biggest liquidity. I haven't checked, but but I was actually interested
is 42%, PHEX is 40%, and then it goes
and PHEX
down.
Yeah, but it's the other ones. If you try and buy them, you will get mad slippage. It is actually a bit of an issue there. But the reason is because I wanted to buy some E Hedron, because if Alex is making this HMI thing, right, where you can use either Hedron, P Hedron or E Hedron, to bid on the auctions on PulseChain for HMIs, then the E Hedron is significantly cheaper than the P Hedron, but it has the same weight in terms of bidding weight in the auctions. So I suspect that'll probably arb the price of the E Hedron towards the P Hedron price. So there's an opportunity there, but the liquidity is so low, it's hard to buy. So you need T-shares to generate it on the Ethereum side. Yeah.
I guess it's a little harder for some people to sell if they're not familiar with the idea of bridging their EHEX, Hedron, because it's been removed from various dexes that were once Hexkin friendly. So you have to do a little bit more research and work to sell your EHEX. So it's, and not a day goes by to where, oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, I was just going to say the pools still exist, like the Uniswap pools or whatever.
Yes.
It's just that the front end, so you can still do the swaps, but
you can do it through Alex's front end. I think Alex from Hedron, he's got what's his front end called?
It's like Hedron.pro. Oh yeah, Uniswap.hedron.pro or something.
Or did they change the name? Did he have another name?
Oh yeah, I'm not sure. My browser always flags that as like a virus thing, and I got to do some settings and stuff, but you can just interact with the blockchain direct to do those swaps as well.
Oh, you can.
Like just using the Uniswap universal router, or I think I'm lagging again.
Here we
go.
I mean,
if you look at the volume of EHEX, it's far lower than PHEX. So it's like, I don't know. I think there's still some, I don't know what you would call it. Maybe I would call it perhaps difficult. Not everybody, or especially, some basic users wouldn't even know how to start to connect to the blockchain to sell something. They're just like, usually give me a change or was it changenow.io or whatever. That one still works, and it's, I don't know, curious to see where do you guys fall on this whole thing. I've never, obviously gotten your opinion, Daza, but OG, I don't think I've gotten yours either. The Hex versus EHEX thing. I mean, I've always said, like, they'll find their prices over time. I always thought PHEX would have a premium, but you never know in crypto. And now with this latest wrinkle of the PulseChain FUD, maybe it comes back closer to parity. Of course, the EHEX maxis, anytime the price moves in their favor back up, you hear about it on Twitter and socials. And then, of course, when PHEX pulls away, you hear about it. And I'm just like, oh, it's exhausting. But
I like both. I've always liked both. And for me, whatever the market does, the market does. I never liked anyone talking shit on any of those, whichever side you're on. I've never enjoyed listening to people talking shit about either side. So for me, I've always just hung back because I honestly believe anything could happen, and you just don't know what's going to happen. Anything can happen, and I hate to say it, but
one side,
you're putting all your eggs in.
Yeah, because like you said, anything could happen. I don't care which side you're on. I don't think like nuking one would, be good. If you happen to like one more than the other, I've always said this, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't
personalize your portfolio, but
I wouldn't presume to tell anyone what to do with their own 100%. Economic energy. I just think that what's the point of talking shit on it? It's like you can say, by all means, say I like this one better. For me, this one is the way to go. But
it's just like clout chasing stuff, and that was always my main problem. It was like bad optics. So it was like, okay, well,
it's unproductive.
If after the fact that somebody sold a bunch of theirs, and now they're getting people to try to sell theirs.
Oh, that's even worse.
I was like, the optics are really bad on that. So it's cool to like one over the other. I don't care, but it's also such a waste of social capital to
energy.
Having said that, I'm a big believer in free speech. So if someone believes it and they really believe it and they want to say it, then say it, and the market will do what it does. But I just have my personal opinion on it. I think I like to chill back and just let the market do what it does. That's and I don't know which side is. You just don't know. So why, in my mind, it's like why pick a side when I don't need to? you know.
Oh, it's just hilarious. I don't know. For me, like, it just seems a bit childish to kind of turn it into this sort of civil war thing, you know, if it's in the Hex community. Like, it's kind of like, just do whatever you want with your own coins and
Yeah.
don't tell other people how to spend their coins. Like, you know,
Yeah.
and you can have
I
opinions if you
understand,
want,
like,
but who cares? Like,
the part of wanting to be right, like every guy wants to be like, I called it. Okay, there's a lot of that
dunk on
goes
someone
on,
or whatever.
but it's like, is it really worth it? Like, regarding this one, you know, when it's so sensitive to the community, and a lot of people are staked, so they can't move their stuff anyway. If you got a big payday bonus, you're not going to nuke your stack just to sell some EHEX for PHEX, and you know, some people have their hands tied. It's like, okay, you're just like kind of like rubbing it in their face right now. So I just,
and
you know,
it's
like I said,
different horses.
The optics
for
were
different
poor.
courses.
Shout out to Somi in the chat.
Somi,
what's
what
up,
a legend.
Somi?
Good to see you in here, bro.
Somi, what a great content creator. He's just on it all the time, producing content. You keep a lot of us entertained. We love hearing about
charts, tweet analyzation from Richard Hart.
I just love the intro. The intro is what I love. I love it's always hello sugar cakes or sweet pumpkin pies. I love all that stuff.
Sugar
Everyone
lips,
loves that.
I don't know.
Yeah, we love it.
It's
we
hilarious.
love it. Good stuff, mate. Good stuff. We
Any
really
names
appreciate
are
your support.
good when you hear Somi say it. So yeah.
And it's always funny to see on Somi's streams. There's always on his Twitter, you can see Tangent is hosting a space in the background, and there's like some ridiculous name of the space that he's doing, but it changes throughout Somi's streams as well. You're like, what is Tangent doing now?
When is Tangent?
I love Somi. Yeah, he's like always, like, if you go back and watch some of the videos, you see how many spaces that Tangent is just doing randomly in the background.
Just changes the title of them. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. But now Somi, I mean, I get all my, you know, alpha, you know, stuff from him, and he's got some really good insights, and just the how consistent and productive he is, like how much content he puts out, like it's prodigious. Like, it's just full credit, full hat tip to him.
Yeah. So, and his comment was, I didn't even read the comment. I should read it. Great to see everyone in here. Fantastic show. Keep up the good vibes. We're all sitting in hell and it's really hot in here. Need to grab a drink. Well, that's
flames.
TGI Friday.
That's it. Well, it's actually 27 degrees here in the middle of winter. So, yeah.
Is it really?
It's decent weather. Yeah. It's not too bad over here.
Yeah, we're still pretty cold over here. Everyone's complaining, wanting spring to come.
We got blue skies.
It's the middle of our summer.
It's
like 90 degrees. So
I must admit, I have to give credit to Somi for my posture as well. I have to sometimes sit up straight, especially when he tells you to sit up straight. You kind of think, yeah, good point.
I'm like the worst right now. I've got like my arm draped over my chair. I'm just like, oh man, I'm half awake.
Straight back.
All right, I'll do it for a second. All right.
The thing I was going to say about the PHEX thing is that one of the advantages of the PHEX is that you, with the farms, the yield farming, you know, but the APR has gone down heaps. So if you were yield farming PHEX with PLS, I thought that was I loved that farm because, and I still do it, but like it's effectively like staking, but you're earning ink because you've got the coins anyway, and they're sort of bonded by the liquidity in the pairs anyway. And then so you don't really care if you've got more PLS or more PHEX. So if the ratio changes, it's like no big deal. So it's sitting in that farm, just earning ink. For the first month or so, I thought it was really good. The APRs were out of control. So, I mean, it's still pretty good now, but I think for some reason, yeah, those APRs have just gone right down.
Oh yeah, just more people in the pools and people, you know, trying for that, you know, basic yield. And I mean, who's not going to do it once you figure it out? But I guess now with the value decline in ink, then you have to do the math versus just staking out your hex versus, you know, maybe using your PLS for something else.
That's true, isn't it? But I mean, at these prices, you can actually get decent quality, like decent amounts of hex, and do some rolling stakes as well, some 30-day or whatever. because I used to look at the the early day adoption amplifier and the on chain, and you see how much people were buying Hex for back in the day, and they were getting decent amounts, and I was always really jealous that I couldn't get millions of Hex for the price.
Do we have the price of
Here
Hex
you
at the
go.
moment? Is it
But
point?
now you can. Yeah, now you fully can. So there's no excuses for anyone the next bull run to be like, oh, you guys have got, millions of Hex. It's like,
What
well,
is it?
you fully could have
0.6 of
too.
a what is Hex? Hex is at 0.6 of a cent of a US cent at the moment.
Yeah. So at 1 cent, a million Hex is 10 grand, right? So it's all right.
So let's just put this into context. $600 US gets you 100,000 Hex. So
100,000. Yep.
So six grand US gets you 1 million Hex.
That's right.
1 million Hex.
And I think if people are working, then they're getting income and stuff like that. I mean, that's the thing is, but so when you start out and you're sort of thinking tens of thousands and then hundreds of thousands, and you might aspire to get 1 million Hex or whatever, and then maybe people who have got. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, I just did the calculation. That is 34 T shares at the minimum stake. That's over 100 T shares stake, like doing a max stake. Which is, and obviously, if you were to use 1 million Hex, this is on Pulse, by the way. If you were to use 1 million Hex and do a staking ladder over the course of 10 years or 15 years, you're going to have T shares somewhere in between 34, more than 34 and 100. So, I mean, that's
awesome.
That's pretty good. Like 100 T shares is pretty good. And if you can get it, and then you say 100 T shares per day multiplied by
6 Hex a day or whatever.
What is it? 6.5 Hex a day.
Mm-hmm.
So that's 650. That would be 650 Hex per day times 365. You're looking at 200. So if you were to do 10-year stake with that million, you're getting about a 23.7% return in terms of Hex at the current daily payout of 6.5. But in future, as we know, as things go, this daily payout continues to increase. So it's very likely that that's going to push up towards 300,000, 350, 400,000 by the time we get out to the 10-year mark. So that percentage return will increase over time when it's staked. Now we're talking in terms of Hex. What the dollar value does, who knows? Who knows? I'd like to think it goes up, but who knows?
Yeah, 100%. No, I think, when you think big picture and you start to look at in larger time scales, I like Somi is 100% on this. If you're looking at 4-hour charts and hour charts, things like that, you're pissing in the wind basically. So and these trends, you have to be looking at like weekly charts really to get any idea of what's going on. I mean, unless you're doing day trading or whatever, you can get fooled to think that something is going down, something is going up. But when you start to go to weekly and monthly candles, and then you kind of go, okay, so that's a trend.
Yeah. And
then you get, and particularly when we're going sideways, I mean, everyone kind of knew that 4-year BTC cycle where you have like, a year of bull, a year of bear, and then like almost 2 years of chopping sideways in between. But if you zoom in on the 2 years of sideways, you can be fooled to thinking that you're in a bull or a bear, but it was just sideways.
Yeah. And so, right now it feels like we're in this no man's land because we're still a bit of, a way off from the Bitcoin halvening. And we've just got this relentless bombardment of like news, which, I perceive at least as really negative for crypto, but it's it feels like we're getting to the point where the rubber's going to hit the road and all this stuff. Like, so for example, in the US, and I don't mind talking about this stuff. I know like some of the US streams are a bit funny about talking about Tornado Cash type stuff. We don't care because we haven't got that same, I guess, regulatory issue as because OFAC is a US, it's a US agency. So all this stuff that's come out with the US guys getting arrested. Are they US, both crazy. US guys? Both US guys?
Yeah, pretty sure. I mean, I think that's why they got them. But yeah,
I mean, it's just crazy that
when Richard went on that tweet storm, some people out there were like, well, why would he, tweet about his own case? I didn't really think those tweets were about, his own thing. I thought they were more about the Tornado Cash kind of thing. And of course, yesterday, I guess
and the Ripple case
had a tweet and was like, just clarifying. Yeah.
It's like all of the above as well. Like, because they sort of relate, because we're talking about freedom of speech. I actually mentioned this. We're talking about code being freedom of speech, right? And this is sort of we had Maddie Allen on the show yesterday, and he talked to us about Time Pays Me. So shout out to Maddie if he's watching. I saw him in the chat earlier.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
So
Maddie's always watching.
It was really good to have Maddie on. I've never been on stream with him before, so it was really, really cool to have him on. But we sort of touched on it yesterday. It's one of those things that we're going to need to see some sort of. There needs to be a fight. There needs to be something. This needs to be clarified, right? Oh, there he is. Yo. What's up, Maddie? This needs to be clarified. Yeah. In everyone's eyes, like on our side of it, we all know we believe in the freedom of speech, freedom to transact, freedom of movement, all this sort of stuff. I think a lot of us believe in those basic tenets of freedom, and it feels like there's a squeeze on the government agency side of things. So, I think this fight needs to happen. And it needs to get clarified for everyone. And I'm really hoping that the side of freedom comes out on top. It's yet to be seen.
I was so stoked to see that Richard is planning on fighting it and seeing those sort of bullish tweets, because I think if anyone can take it to the SEC, I think RH can. So he's just been training for this for that long. He knows this stuff inside out. And he's just going to mop the floor with them.
One can hope.
I'm lagging,
but SEC has a decent record of coming at some of these many cases. So it's like, well, what did we get ourselves into? Should he fight all the way? Because if he fights all the way, then that's like years of legal, and you miss another bull cycle. I think he's gonna. I'm no legal analyst, but I would guess that they're gonna talk if they're not already doing so. Hashing out their point. Maybe they come to some sort of monetary settlement. SEC always wants their cut. I think it was like 24 million with Bittrex. And maybe they went on the way after 4 months. Maybe if we are so lucky, sure. But I mean, if it's a long drawn out fight, then they're going to see a lot of, I think, community fatigue. We've seen it obviously in the price chart. I don't think, the price is going to go all the way to zero, but I think it's like I've said for a couple of weeks now, like sideways to down, because we're just in this no man's land kind of thing.
I think it's difficult for. Sometimes I think I'm in two minds about it. Sometimes I'm thinking from the point of view, I would love it to get resolved ASAP in whichever way possible, just so that we can get a little bit of some clear a clear path ahead, and then maybe there'd be a bit more confidence in the whole thing. But then I think about it from the other perspective as well, which is that the clarity and just setting a precedent would be so much like the greater good of this space, and the future of permissionless money would be better served
100%.
if this was fought tooth and nail to the end, you know.
But
So
it's just like how much damage would be done by that. You'd have to, I mean, aside from many OGs, and of course the benefit of Hex is like so many people are staked out, past those, 4 years or 3 or 4 years that maybe it would take, for this all to play out. In the meantime, I think so many people would also get worn out by it, and you'd almost have to restart the community. I mean, we've done it once before. We know how to do it. We're all over YouTube and, Twitter and whatnot, but that'd just be a long, protracted kind of thing.
We also don't know, but you know what? We don't know what we assume. It's all just, it would all be negative and bad, but we don't know. We actually don't know, because and it's funny that this comes up, because I think I was watching a Somi video where he was comparing the Ripple, what happened with Ripple, and just the this case with Richard Hart, and he was comparing the two, and he said something along the line. It was something along the lines of, it's not black and white. What the market does in these situations is not black and white. So if you look at the Ripple, chart, it's back to where it was after they got that positive news. So they're back to the price of from before the positive news. So it went up, and now it's come all the way back down. So that positive news, that there's been a little bit of clarity, I don't believe has improved, the plight of.
Look, I think maybe we might also be paying too much energy to this as well. Like who hasn't the SEC sued? Like, let's be real here. Like, they've pretty much just gone through CoinMarketCap and picked like the top 20 things and just gone, oh yeah, let's sue Matic and let's sue Solana, and like, and Gary Gensler is, inept. Can't even explain whether Ethereum is a security or not under oath, and it's like, that's his job. I mean, they're pretty useless. So I think they've spread themselves too thin with all these cases. And if you look at the chart, like the SEC news, it was like a drop in price, but the price had been dropping for 2 years before that, right? Like it was only really, an extra little leg down. So I don't know. I think it's more like just tied to the cycles and BTC. We need BTC to start getting bullish again, and then people will start FOMOing in, and then that's just what's going to make the price go up. So the SEC stuff, I'm not terribly fussed by it.
Yeah, and I do agree with. I do agree with you, CABANA, though, that although we don't know for sure, there is a good likelihood that a protracted legal battle is like not good for the Hex ecosystem. Like I do agree with that.
Yeah.
And I guess the thing is that, but long term for the space, if he was to win it, there's like that's the caveat there, that if he was to win it, ultimately long term, that would provide like such clarity for the space that I think it would just be up and up from there. But I mean, this is all speculation ultimately. Maddie, so I'll just read out this comment from Maddie Allen. RH talking about Tornado Cash laws doesn't have anything to do with his SEC papers. He might not even be aware or acknowledge the SEC. He
does not read messages. Yeah,
that's correct. He does not read messages.
Yeah, when I first saw that, I was like, oh, he doesn't read messages. I was like, I had a suspicion that he was trying to avoid a subpoena, so it wasn't really a huge surprise when it did go down. I think if a DOJ case came against him, then that would be a bit more severe, because, like, you know, fraud cases have like criminal aspects to them, and that's different. But at the moment, like, if he pays a fine, you know, he has to sell a watch, big deal. Like, but if it does go on like CABANA says, and it's protracted, then that could be bad. But then if BTC starts pumping after the halving, then you know, it could go up as well. And you got to remember, like, yeah, sure, we're like 90. It sounds bad saying it. Sure, we're 99% down. But you know, everything is literally like, you could just put a spreadsheet of coins and be like, you know, they're all 90% down. You know, we're just 99%, but most of them are like 85 to 95% down. And that's the bear market. Like, it is what it is. But we've also been saved by not getting wrecked in, you know, the Celsius, the block fires,
those guys are 100% down.
Yeah, they're 100% down. They've lost their coins. Like, how is that Shibarium bridge that they lost all their ETH or whatever that happened the other day?
Yeah,
there's shit like that goes on in DeFi all the time, and so it goes with the territory. You know, bridges get compromised. There's exploits. I was having a look, and there's, you know, you could point to half a dozen exploits, even in the last week. So it is still a bit of the Wild West, and but in some regard we have been saved from that a little bit, particularly with the sacrifices, where if some of the economic energy was sacrificed at you know 12 cents or whatever, has retained its value a bit better than if it had have ridden that whole thing all the way down.
Yep. Yeah, and we're not quite 99% down. I mean, this is hard coke for me at the moment. We're 98 point something, 98.3, which, you know what, you got to go down another 40% to be 99% down.
No shit. That's funny. Yeah, okay.
Coat me harder, baby.
That's it.
I think I need another
FOMO in. You're gonna make me FOMO in.
I need another black coffee. Yeah, that is sort of getting to the cope end of the spectrum when you start saying stuff like that. Having said that, here's some more cope for you. There have been cryptos that have gone down 99% before, right, and come back. I think ADA is one of them.
But there are cryptos that go down 50% and never come back. You know, hardly any coins survive multiple cycles. So I'd say you have to have a good community that's sort of, and that's, you know, people say that, you know, the Hex community is cold or whatever. It's like, well, what better asset do you want to be in, where the people are like, you know, they're fervor and they're cultish about, you know, about this asset. Like, that's what you want. I think that's why it will bounce back.
I think part of it depends who's buying up the supply at these prices. Like, I think that like comes into it. Who's buying up the supply at these prices? If it's hexagons, people who are already holding and they're just buying up more, so now they become bigger holders, I think that's probably a good thing. But you also, if it's just like big entities, like a couple of new big entities who are buying up big amounts, and then, you know, they do a 20x and then just dump all their stuff on everyone, that wouldn't be great. So the composition of these buyers, the current buyers set, I think matters. But, you know, I don't think it's something it's unknowable, really. That's the nature of what we're dealing with here.
Well, so
there's
even the
trading
biggest
that goes on day to day too. So I mean, you just see guys trying to catch capitulation candles, and you know, any big bounce candles that we have, they try to play it both ways, and that just exacerbates things when, you know, volatility picks 100%. Up. Hopefully, at some point, we get to this point to where people are just exhausted and selling. Everybody's given up that needs to give up, and then we kind of just like flatline for a while instead of going sideways down, sideways down, sideways down, and then maybe we can just grind there until we actually get a resolution, hopefully sooner than later.
Well, that's why LP is good in these sideways sort of things. I know it's sideways and down, but at least with LP, you're earning yield. And if you've got it in that sort of dire PLS pool, then you are buying the dip as well, like automatically. But yeah, that's probably a good thing, is to have some stables so you can do that.
Cool. We've been going for about an hour. I know it's quite late where CABANA is. Unless, do you guys have anything else you want to add? This has been our first Aussie DeFi happy hour. Very pleased to have CABANA Crypto come on and forego hours of sleep for our benefit. We very much appreciate that.
I mean, you guys are welcome on my happy hour in about 14 and a half hours. So let me know if you'd like to stop by. It's just going to be a quick one with me and Big K. So, but
I'll have to see. You know what my problem is with that, and I have been on your show. I think maybe 2 or 3 times.
Scraped out of bed at like 5 a.m. your time or something like that. Yeah.
The thing is that's when I go for a run once a week, right?
Okay.
And I go for a run at 5:30 in the morning on Saturdays, right? So I get back, and it's usually I'm back in time. But the question is, does my kid have basketball on a Saturday morning nowadays? Because it's all about that. But I would love to come on sometime. I would, absolutely.
Yeah, thanks so much for coming on, CABANA, and thanks for that invite. That's awesome. I think Claz is streaming tomorrow morning. Claz has got like 2 streams going on.
I think we're only doing an hour, and I think she's on right after us. So,
yeah, she's got 2 streams, I think, like back to back. Anyway, I don't know what's going on.
Oh, okay.
Well, if she's
free for my happy hour stream, come on, Claz. I see you in chat too. So
yeah, there you go.
Come on.
Yeah. Shout out to Claz.
Shout out to Claz.
Yeah, she's here somewhere in the background. So but yeah, she uses the setup. But I think that is literally 4 a.m. or something at my time. So I would have to do a tangent and stay up all night, I think, to be able to pull that off.
Just take naps. That's what I did.
Yeah, awesome.
So
thanks very much for coming on. Though.
It is 2 o'clock in the morning for you now, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like 2:30. Yeah.
2:30 in the morning. That's the commitment.
Oh wow!
See, really went out of his way for us. I really appreciate that, mate.
Respect.
That's all good. Pleasure to be here. It's a show called Happy Hour, like halfway around the world. How could I not? So
yeah.
Exactly.
That's the attitude. That's what I
love. It's a psyop. That's how we got
beer.
Yeah, I'm due for another one. So I've got my Malcolm Douglas Crocodile theme park stubby holder here. I need to get another one. So, but yeah, thanks very much 43 OG for sorting it out. And it was a bit impromptu, but that was good fun. So thanks very much.
So we'll see you guys next week with the 2nd episode of Aussie DeFi Happy Hour. Peace.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.